John Newman, Love Me Again, 97.3 Apple FM. We're talking about weight this morning and how it affects your life, how you can lose it, things you can do to stay healthy. And I asked you to share some of your stories this morning. Well, with me to share hers is Karen Smith. Karen, good morning.
Good morning, Jason. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, darling?
I'm good.
It's good to catch up again because we first met when you came in to do some Zumba here in the studio.
That's right. There were three of us who came in and did a little jig in the studio. It's great fun.
We should do that again, actually, soon.
I know. It was brilliant.
Now, what's your story? Because looking at your story, it kind of mirrors mine at school.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was classed as morbidly obese at school. I spent a lot of my time hiding food and eating food, and it was always quite traumatic. I mean, I used to hear people compare themselves to me, whether they were getting fat based on how big I was at the time. So it was a little bit difficult. And I used to have some fairly tall friends, and I remember being called ET once because I was so short and fat. It wasn't a good time.
No, and kids are the worst, aren't they? They can be really cruel to each other.
They don't mean it.
No.
But, you hear it, and then it's something you listen out for after that, so it's difficult.
Now, when it came to hiding foods, what type of foods were you hiding, and where were you hiding it?
Well, it's what I would do is, at school I would be given dinner money, but I wouldn't actually go to the canteen to have dinner. I would nip across the road and I'd buy a dripping sandwich. That's obviously pure fat instead. Because that was at the time only about 10p, which meant I had enough money to, on the way home, stop off at the cake shop and get cake. But I would do all sorts of things like I'd buy a packet of 10 donuts and I'd eat one or two and think, oh no, they're going to know I've had two. So to hide the evidence, I would eat all 10 and then put the packet at the very bottom of the bin. I'd actually move rubbish away to put the packets, and nobody would know what I was doing. Because I was so ashamed of the fact that I was completely addicted to food.
Why were you addicted to food? Was that because of how you were feeling at the time?
I think it was a mix of a few things. I think it was a mix of I wasn't sporty at school and I put weight on, and the eating was a comfort. It is addictive. Sugar is addictive. So as soon as you start to eat sugar, you want more. And I love food. I mean, I just genuinely enjoy the experience of eating. So it wasn't all psychological. Some of it was chemical, the requirement to have sugar, and some of it was just an innate compulsive addiction to eat and eat and eat. I mean, my portion sizes were huge, and always have been. I've a terrible time controlling. I can't have one piece of toast. I can't have two. I've got to have four. It's such a hard thing. And you hear people go, well, just don't eat. But you can't.
No, you need to eat.
Yeah, so you can't go cold turkey from food. You can't just give it up.
No.
So it's a real struggle. I mean, I've had weight issues all the way through my 20s and 30s. It's only now that I'm actually getting some control over the amount of food and what I eat.
And that's taken you a long time.
I mean, I used to fly with work, go abroad, and they had to get the extension on the belt because I was so big. And I couldn't put the arms of the chair down because my glutes were so huge, and all these sort of things. And it wasn't until I took my family to Alton Towers, and my nephew turned around and said, you'll not be able to sit on that, you're too big. And I thought, don't be silly, and I couldn't get my bottom into the seat and had to exit in front of everybody because I couldn't sit in the seat. It was so embarrassing.
Was that the turning point?
It was, yeah. I think that kind of humiliation. I thought I didn't realise. I think you have a sort of self-image of you, and mine's almost opposite to being anorexic. I thought I was thinner than I was. So you just keep getting bigger because you think I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad.
No, we don't see ourselves, do we? We don't see ourselves as other people see us, do we?
Not at all. Not at all. I got to 16.5 stone before I turned around and said, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. Yeah.
When it comes to the new improved you now, which is absolutely fabulous, by the way, how do you manage to sort of do that now? Because you said all through your 20s and your 30s, a bit like I'm doing now, really struggling and battling with it, and you have some good months where you lose the weight, you're really good, you're really proud of yourself, something happens, you take a step back, You put on more because you eat more.
Yeah, it is an emotional roller coaster. You know, you're feeling brilliant because you're losing the weight. You have one bad week, and I'm not being kind of scales lie. You can have it where you weigh yourself before, after you've eaten, so you've got undigested food in your system. I know it doesn't apply to you, but for women, they could be the time of the month can affect their weight, the time of day, the time of the week. All of these things can affect your scales. So scales can actually be a negative thing when it comes to measuring success. The best thing actually is your inches. But when you yo-yo, when you have that downflux, it's so easy to suddenly eat something that is going to keep you back on that addiction. For me, it's carbs. If I have bread, I've had it. I know I have.
Yeah, bread, and for me, it's bread and pies. You know, pastry.
See, it's the wheat and the fat. It's lovely, isn't it?
Oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, talk about the fact then, because it made you have a lot of pain within your body as well, didn't it? All this weight.
I mean, I have osteoarthritis, which I have in my fingers and my knees and my feet. And the more weight you carry, the more downward force you have on your joints. So actually, having weight can cause additional pain to an already very painful condition. Yeah.
When you get to that point, isn't it, you think, right, this is when I do something. So what is it you've done? Because you run some great classes now, don't you?
Well, I work in conjunction with my sister. We're a bit of a double act. We have classes in Taunton, Bridgewater and Western Supermare. In fact, we have a group of independent instructors that we work together with to offer exercise classes, and they're great fun. I mean, they go from sort of Zumba to Pilates, from kettlesized to hula hooping, a huge range, and that's with GR84 Fitness. But we also do a detox program with GR84 Weight, and this is really where I had the epiphany, because once you get off the food that you're addicted to, all of a sudden you're no longer a slave to food. It's quite a transformation. I gave up wheat, and as soon as I did, I didn't have stomach cramps. I didn't have that body odor that you sometimes get with certain foods. All that kind of stuff passed, and I got control back. And just by cutting out the foods that I was addicted to, sugar and wheat, you can introduce simple sugars back, like your fruit.
Yeah.
But it's a brilliant. I mean, it's a 30-day detox. It's tough because you're giving up coffee, wheat, legumes, which are your beans, all kinds of things like that. But how you feel afterwards is utterly amazing.
I bet it is.
And that with the exercise, which is what your lady said prior, you eat healthy, good, clean, simple food, non-processed, you exercise, and you find things that make you feel good. All of a sudden, you've lost that feeling of being disempowered by food, and all of a sudden you have control over your life, and it is liberating.
Yeah, I bet it is. You always come bouncing in here whenever I see you with a big beaming smile.
And one other thing I did, which I've never done before, I actually went and had hypnotherapy.
Wow.
I was a little bit critical, maybe a little bit dubious, but it was actually it's really good. It sort of gets your subconscious to work with you. So if you're the type of person that always sabotages what they do, I think it's worth the investment to get a little bit of hypnotherapy as well.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you so much. Where can people
know how you're getting on with your diet?
Oh, do you know, I'm like, I've come to that point where I've yo-yoed this year, been up and down, up and down, up and down. I broke my had a fracture to my elbow for 6 weeks, so wasn't as mobile as I could have been, because I couldn't go to work, I couldn't exercise as much as I wanted to, and of course you're sat at home, you're bored. So what do you do when you're bored? You eat, don't you?
You do.
You do, and it's just one of those things, and I'm just thinking, okay, I'll write this year off. I'm 33 now, I was 33 this week, and I just think, right, next year, I am not going to be this weight by my 34th birthday, but something else will happen.
No, it won't, because you have a plan.
Yeah, I do. New Year's Day, that's it, and I've got to come along to one of your classes. And how do people find out about them?
They can go on to, it's gr84fitness.com, and they can have a look on there. So it stands for Great for Fitness, but the actual business name is GR84 Fitness. Go and have a look. We've got loads of classes. And come and join us. Oh my God, they would love you.
One of your classes.
We
But
do Kettler size, and I think you'd really love that.
I might give it a go. You never know. Karen, thank you for your time this morning.
You're very welcome.
It's been
lovely to
ace.
speak to you, Jason.
And you, darling. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.